Guys, you know I love Barbell apparel. Their hoodies are amazing and their pants fit perfectly. If you're in shape and you have trouble finding clothes that fit, look no further. Right now, Barbell Apparel is running their biggest sale ever. Get any of their jeans, chinos, or anything pants for $99. That's $50 lower than usual. They've sold out for 8 years in a row. So be sure to head over there and get yourself some awesome athletic clothing before it's gone. That's barbellapparel.com or just click on the link below. Anthony Smith had what the kids online called a hot take. He was talking about Jon Jones. And I want to tell you what Anthony said because I want you to hear me. If you read what Anthony said, you're thinking, man, that wasn't very nice. But it was. It didn't read nice. You had to hear what Anthony said. Anthony was very complimentary to Jon Jones, very complimentary of how good Jon is. But Anthony wanted to give a real analysis of the skills. So he said if you break Jon into any one department or compartment, you can beat him. You can find guys in our sport that if they just went out and boxed, Jon versus somebody within our sport under contract that just have a box, where that person would be the better boxer. Anthony maintained that you could find somebody, if you put them in a wrestling match, had them shake hands and they go, that you could find guys within our sport that would win over Jon. He then used this again with jiu-jitsu, saying there's grappling, pure no-gi grappling versus Jon. There's guys that can beat him, but when you put it all together, he's very crafty, he's very dynamic, and he uses these pieces. I bring that to you because if you read it, you thought, well, those were fighting words by Anthony Smith. Where did that come from? But if you heard it, it's a very fair point. I mean, it got me thinking about that. I would bet on Jon Jones in anything. I might lose my money. But I would bet in Jon Jones in anything. If Jon, here, I'm going to disgust you guys. But I don't say this with an exaggeration. This is true. If Jon Jones was entering Abu Dhabi tomorrow and Gordon Ryan was in the bracket, I'll bet on Jon Jones. Roast away. Go ahead. If Jon Jones is going to go over to heavyweight boxing and take on Tyson Fury, I'm going to bet on Jon Jones. I get it. I better be able to cover my debt. He's going to be a massive underdog. Problem is, I just don't know how good Jon is, but neither do you. Like, let me give you an example. A lot of people in the wrestling community have not embraced Jon as a wrestler, which I can tell you privately hurt his feelings. That's how Jon sees himself, and he sees himself as a representative of the wrestling community, of which didn't embrace it. It hurt his feelings at one point. But the reason that came is Jon wasn't the NCAA champion. Jon was not the Olympian. Now, let me just stop you right there. Jon didn't try. It's super important that you know this. Jon Jones was not the NCAA wrestling champion. He was not a Division I All-American. Jon Jones didn't enter the tournament. Jon Jones was not the Olympian we got Olympians around here. He wasn't an Olympian. Jon Jones didn't enter the tournament. You want to be an Olympian? There's a tournament called the Olympic Trials. Go win it. I'm just sharing for you. You want to be an NCAA champion? There's a tournament called the NCAA. You've got to go enter it. The highest level that Jon ever entered, anytime Jon ever did enter, he won. When he was in high school, the biggest thing he ever went to was the state championship. He was the state champion. When he went to college, he was in something called a JC, but they'll play it all the way through to a JC championship. He won. I might mention for you is the highest thing he won, and it's the exact same tournament at a different weight class that Curtis Blades won. Now, you might find that interesting. There was a clip. Jon Jones drives me nuts. Jon Jones drives me crazy. I would never deny what I'm seeing. And I'll tell you, when I say I'd bet on Jon in anything, Jon came out and did a no-gi grappling match against a two-time Olympian named Dan Henderson. And the fun and the playfulness that Jon had in it while being dominant, and it stayed with me. There was an event. And this is very interesting, right? Like, you've seen Jon Jones fight so many times, so what? Think you know all about him. You go to his Instagram and see Jon Jones fighting and training and doing such things, but somebody that you have less access to. Okay? You go to a Jon Jones fight right now. You put it on the internet, you're probably going to get 800,000 views. They're out there. I just guessed. Go see how right I am. You go to a Jon Jones Instagram and he's fighting, you're probably going to do 95 to 125,000 views. They're out there. Go check. See how accurate I am. You do a spotty, homemade, people in the way, no audio, clip on a beach of Hicks and Gracie getting into it with Hugo Duarte. You will have 5 million people stop what they're doing to click on that. And frankly, that's the good stuff. I mean, that's the stuff that we really like to know. We love to hear an underground story about Bruce Lee, whether it was training or some dust up he got in. We love to hear about this stuff. Jon Jones had one of these. And he was signing autographs somewhere. Many, many years ago, he was signing autographs. And whatever he was signing, they had a jiu-jitsu tournament going on in conjunction with it. It was like a big expo, and, this guy's selling you gis over here, and this guy's selling you DVDs, and, oh, by the way, we got a jiu-jitsu tournament going on. Oh, and Jon Jones is in the corner. Go get his autograph. Guy walks up to Jon Jones. Guy's a brown belt. And that's all the guy does is jiu-jitsu. No gi, jiu-jitsu. He's in the tournament. He prepared for it. He trained for it. He made weight for it. If you go watch this video, you might be underwhelmed. But I'm telling you it exactly the way that it happened. This guy walks up to Jon Jones and he challenges him to a match. Now, the guy knew that he was going to do that. The guy probably thought he was going to be shunned. Jon Jones left the autograph booth and walked to the mat. There's no way that anybody thought that Jon would accept this. That Jon's going to go do any kind of competition without being prepared, without training. For goodness sake, he didn't even stretch. He decides to do this guy who's challenged him a favor, decides to be nice to him. Now, the guy's got a brown belt. Jon doesn't. This is an old story, and this is out there. But this is one of those things that should have created folklore. Jon walks onto the mat, and Jon handles the guy as though he's dealing with a fan. Jon dismisses this guy with a condescension of, without knowing anything about you, I know I have nothing to worry about with you. Jon is smiling. Jon is speaking to the guy. Jon is going through positions in slow motion, letting the guy work before Jon defends it almost effortlessly. But if you go watch that tape, don't watch Jon, watch the other guy. You will come to a vastly different understanding. That dude wasn't playing. That dude was not planning to lose. That dude was not unprepared and unwarm and signing autographs and distracted. He was out there to get the jump and send Jon Jones to the hospital and make himself a name. Jon played with him before finishing him. This guy's a brown belt. This is how good Jon, when I tell you I won't bet against him, is for little things like that. And if you guys know the video I'm talking about, you've just said, Chael, how could you do that? How could you give Jon any credit? Jon was bigger than that guy. He was taller than that guy. Please stop. Jon was there to do autographs. That dude was there to compete. Jon had a purple belt. That dude was a brown belt. That dude got a good night's sleep the night before I would trust. Jon got in from the club at 3 a.m. Jon played with him like a child and finished him. And when it comes to combat, whether I like him or not, I get Anthony's point. I know what Anthony's saying. Me telling you Jon could beat up Tyson Fury in boxing. I better be ready to lose my money. Me telling you that Jon could win Abu Dhabi when Gordon's in the bracket. I better have that money because I'm probably going to hand it over. But I'm telling you now, if Jon Jones is doing it and it's combat, I'm taking Jon.